When people hear someone lives abroad, they often imagine a perfect life. Nice house, fancy cars, stylish clothes, and multiple vacations a year. And this is exactly what I used to believe growing in the middle of nowhere in Siberia. But what is the real cost of building this dream life as an immigrant? Let me share the harsh reality of life as a Russian immigrant and what it truly takes. There is one question that everyone asks at some point of time. And when you have a Russian accent, which is quite easy to recognize, you might hesitate to answer because you never know how the person will react. Now, many Russians and Ukrainians came here to Germany due to recent events, not only to Germany, but all over the world. And while the most of us understand the real reasons why we are here, tensions can still run high. I remember when we moved to our new apartment here in Germany, there were a few delivery guys who helped us with the furniture. And once they came to apartment, I recognized they spoke Russian, and I casually asked, "Oh, guys, you are from Russian too?" And they immediately changed their faces, and they said, "No, we are Ukrainians." And that was a moment when I didn't know how to react. In moments like this, you never know what is going on in someone else's mind. When I told what happened to my husband, he was a little bit mad at me. He said, "Why you ask that, whether they're Russians or not? You could just speak English or all of that." And most of the time, I don't encounter any anger towards me when people realize or when they hear that I'm Russian. But some stories hit me really hard. Like a time when a girl in integration course I go here to in Germany, she just started crying during the lesson because her husband had gone lost in a war and hadn't responded to her for over a week. And she started crying, and I felt so sorry for her, and I wanted to support her in that difficult moment. And I felt a mix of a sadness, of a guilt, and helplessness. It's hard to explain, but it's kind of stays with you, even though you understand that personally you didn't cause anything bad. Meanwhile, during the video calls with my family, it feels sometimes they are living in a different world. They focus on everyday life, they are preparing to a new year, they are really busy and don't really pay attention on what is going on. And on the one hand, I can understand them, because if you're exposing yourself to a news and if you are so into all these conflicts, you might get so stressed out that you will end up in a very bad place. But wearing glasses and pretend that nothing is happening, it also doesn't feel like a right solution. And this is a situation where I still don't know, the situation where I still can't find a balance. And I just wish that this madness would stop, because every time I meet an Ukrainian, I see how much we are similar. We are like completely the same. We have the same mindset. We understand the same jokes, even when we start talking about, I don't know, childhood. It's like we were living in the same country. Culturally, historically, we are so close. And the idea that one hurting another, it's just impossible to comprehend. So this topic for me, it's a little bit hard, because still I'm trying to find that balance and try to find answers of how to digest what is going on. And I'm curious to know, what do you think? And maybe, I don't know, maybe you have a nice advice to share. Let me know. They say that your relationships are tested after 3 years of being together, and then once you have your first child. I would definitely add immigration to this list. Moving to a new country, it's a massive test for a marriage or for romantic relationships. And my husband and I, we had those low moments when we had crisis where I was not sure whether we would make it. And immigration has a harsh way of shining a light on things and problems you were numbing for years. And once you are in this challenging situation, all those problems can just pop up into your life, and the person can literally burst everything out at their partner, which is not good and which is definitely will lead to some sort of crisis in relationship, like communication problems, trust issues, financial stress, intimacy issues, and all of that creates situation when couple is tested. And there were moments for our marriage when I just wanted to take a pause, to be by myself, to be able to clearly think without anyone else around me. But just imagine when you're in a new place and you have no friends, no family, other relatives, and you have small children. So basically, you can't quit. You just cannot leave. You have to find ways how to solve those problems. And this is a period when we had so many heart-to-heart conversations with my husband. We needed to look at our goals, to discuss where we go, to see whether we are still on the same page, whether we still go to the same direction. In a completely new environment, people can start acting differently. Their behavior might change. And you never know how your partner can start behaving in that stressful situations. What people don't see, it's a hard work, it's arguments, it's some miscommunications. And immigration, this is a process when a relationship is truly tested. And if a couple manages to overcome all the difficulties, all the challenges, and still find ways to support each other in a healthy way, to communicate in a healthy way, and be able to overcome all the difficulties together, they will be like upgrading their relationship on the next level. And I'm sharing this openly with you because I faced with a situation when many people look at the picture, they see a picture on Instagram of a happy family, smiling children, always together, and it seems like they are all figured it out. But in reality, I want to say, like, come on, guys, we have the same problems, the same struggles, and I think there is no perfect couple, and no one can really see what is going on inside the family besides two people, like man and a woman. So that comparison can really be a thief of your own happiness. A small takeaway from this part of the video is just stop comparing your relationships with someone else's relationships, because you would never know what people are going through, what they are facing. And if I would tell someone that we were at the age of a divorce, people would say, no, it's impossible, you're always so happy. But it's something that people would see. That's what I want to say. Never compare your relationship to anyone else, because you never know what is going on between two people. Immigration doesn't just test your relationship with your partner, it changes relationships with everyone you have. You realize how much your family means to you only when you are far away from them, when you cannot reach them that just like that. And I miss my family so much, but to travel to Russia now, it's nearly impossible. Firstly, because it's unsafe. Still, I wouldn't feel comfortable to take kids and especially go there with my husband to see all the relatives. And second, it's it's super expensive, even though it's basically you would go just to Russia, somewhere in Siberia. It's not a luxury hotel or something. You would spend so much money to get there, in comparison, like you can stay in a 2 weeks for 2 weeks in a luxury hotel in Dubai, and yet it will be even more than that. Moreover, it's not easy now for Russians to travel somewhere abroad. For now, we've been working on a procedure to make a visa for my husband's mom for more than a few months already. All this paperwork, German's bureaucracy is crazy. And still, it takes time, and also we need to provide so many proofs that we can support you here financially. She will not steal anything, and like we need to buy insurance, we need to pay all these government fees. That's that's overwhelming, and not that many people would be ready to face with that time-consuming tasks, and also, again, money-consuming tasks. Both sides are stuck in one side in one place, let's say in Germany, and another side in Russia, and we cannot just go and see each other easily, unfortunately. And this is something that really makes me feel sad, especially now during the Christmas time, when you cannot just go and visit all your relatives, sisters, brothers, my father. And that's really, really sad. So relationships with the family can change, and relationships with your friends also can change, and not always in a good way. I've lost touch with many of my friends, and for me as a Russian, it's really so strange to lose touch with the people I've been knowing for more than 15 years, just because we have different political views now. We never actually even discussed those political situation in the country back when I lived in my hometown. It wasn't really a topic for us with my girlfriends to talk about. We never were interested in it. But now somehow everyone is super politically, I don't know, correct and smart, and everyone is involved, and everybody try to force their point of view to other people, and if other people disagree with you, so you just stop communicating with them in a nice way. At first it was painful, and I didn't know how to behave, and I contacted people just to ask what happened. We just left Russia because we wanted to have a nice life and be and safe and have and provide a nice future for our children, because when you have children, you really deeply concerned about their future. But for some reason, people didn't want to take our point of view and just to accept it. They decided to cross you off their life. Over time, I accepted that, and now I do not feel that emotional swings when I start thinking about my old school friends back in Russia. That immigration process showed who really cares about you, who really wants to save any contact with you, any bonds with you, and those who don't. And you never can force someone to be your friend if a person doesn't want to be your friend. So yeah, immigration definitely is a good test for all relationships you have. Quite often I hear that people would like to move, but they have small children. And this is something that struck me a lot, because now I've noticed that children can handle moving way better than adults. At least this is something what I see about our kids. We have two children for now, and the eldest is 8, the youngest is 5 almost. And both of them seems quite comfortably adapted to a new way of living, to a new country, new places, and old people, and they feel fine. And there is one secret to reach that. I believe that a big reason for that success with our children was the way how we reacted to all those changes, how we kept ourselves calm and collected and stay calm and collected and supported each other when in a moment when we were overwhelmed. Let's say my husband was really stressed out about paperwork and I could just take out kids and have fun with them while he would just be by himself and do all of that. And this is how people can handle all those difficulties. Again, this is how you create that environment in your family. And for kids, they knew that it was not easy for us to move and to do all of that, but they knew that we are all together and they can always rely on us. And what children need to know is that there is always a home where they can come, where they are in safe, when they feel comfortable. And we changed the place where we lived like 7 or 9 times for the last 3 years. So we moved around different apartments, different places. And every time, no matter where we lived, we managed to build that feeling of home. And every time we live somewhere, kids are so connected to their home, to that current home. And it feels like this is their favorite place in the world. They would rather stay at home, play with their toys and just do their stuff rather than going somewhere, going on a trip. And it helps them to handle all those difficulties which come with the immigration process. And this is something that people shouldn't treat like an excuse not to try to live in another country, because for kids it's an amazing example, it's an amazing experience. And what I love about this experience also is that it will help them and prepare them for a real life challenges when they will face in teenage age or like an adult. Because once you put yourself in this very uncomfortable situation, when you're in a new society, new community, you don't have friends, you have to push yourself to make that new comfort for yourself again. If they pass this once, they will definitely do this again and again. They will already know it. You know how millionaires say, if you once learn how to earn $1 million, once you lose it, you will not be stressed out because you already passed this experience. You know what to do with it and you would earn it again. The same with the kids. They would already experience all that challenges. And then as adults, they will be easily go to job interviews. They will easily go to a new job place and see new people and communicating with people. For them, it will not be looking that hard to move to a new country just to study there, because they already experienced that and they already know how to act, what to do, and they will also know that there is always a home for them, which I think it's a very beautiful thing. So if you have kids and if you use kids as an excuse not to move somewhere, think twice. Your kids are capable of way more things than you realize. When you move to a completely new country, you would often discover sides of your personality you never knew existed before. And it's fascinating because you step into the world of stereotypes, both about your own nationality and one you are entering. And some stereotypes can be amusing, some stereotypes can be offensive. And how you react on those stereotypes shapes not only your experience, but also how others perceive your culture. Funny enough, but for me, living in Russia helped me to embrace my Russian side so much. Like I now look at myself from completely different angle, and also on my nationality. And I love being Russian, seriously, even though we have a kind of dark past and recent events are not the best events. I still love the people, love our culture, and I don't know, jokes, and when I hear some stereotypes I disagree with, I feel kind of responsible to break those stereotypes, because I would love people to know Russians from also different angles. So back home I was just a Russian surrounded by other Russians, no other nationalities. Basically, we literally lived and we didn't have that many foreigners. I mean, I didn't have any foreigner in my circle of friends or even acquaintances. And once I came here in Europe, I stopped being the only Russian surrounded by other Russians. Now I encounter an Africans and Syrian and Germans and other people from other European countries. And it's fascinating, especially when you start hearing all those stereotypes about Russians in a hat with a bottle of vodka in a hand, and maybe with the bear on the backyard. And some people do believe that Russians are that crazy. And at first I laughed it off, but then I felt that there is an opportunity to challenge those stereotypes, to break them, and to show Russian sides people probably haven't heard, or maybe they just never really knew about. And this is something that also helps me to know myself better and also help other people to know the culture better. And every time our friends come over to our place, I cook something like from Russian cuisine, and we share stories that related to our tradition, to our culture. And it's interesting to see how some people, they have sparks in their eyes and they never heard about this or they never tasted those food. And I feel that this maybe can help people to connect more, because now I feel there is a trend that Russians, they are kind of outsiders of the world, and many countries, they prohibited Russians to come into their places. In many countries you wouldn't already see menus including Russian language. In many places you would see how all the cultural events are just prohibited or just stopped. In many schools they just stop teaching Russian language, which I find a little bit sad, that because the Russian culture is really rich, and the music, literature, cuisine, even just small tiny traditions can be really beautiful and enriching for some other nations. And this collective desire to make Russians outsiders, it's a little bit sad for me. I never felt as an outsider, but I feel sad that many countries and many people now, they perceive Russians as bad guys. We still have good people. What surprised me here in Germany is that how many people, especially elder generation, are still curious about Russian culture. They have warm memories about their past, how they traveled to Moscow. Some studied in Moscow, some learned the language, and they had some connections with the people. Some still have friends, not that many, but still. And many people, they are full of anger from both sides, and all those past warm memories, they are just gone, which I hope one day will change again. By sharing our stories between each other, there is a chance that we will be able to heal all those bonds and make them even stronger. One of the first things immigrants do whenever they are Russians, Ukrainian, Americans, or whatever else they can come from is the search for their own community. As soon as they arrive to a new country, they start searching the Facebook groups, the Telegram channels, and other social network platforms where they can connect with the people from back home, because it feels safe and it feels comforting. But it's so easy to get trapped and to create the same community around yourself and hang out with the same people back at home, to eat the same food as you did back at home, to do the same activities and have the same talks, and you would never really experience that new culture. And this is where many people, after 10 years of living abroad, they would say, no, I still don't feel this place as my home, I want to come back. Of course, you wouldn't feel yourself as a part of community, that local community, if you are creating a community of other immigrants from your home country. In my case, English became that key to break that bubble and not to get trapped into this. I can't even emphasize how much English changed my life, completely turned it upside down. And I absolutely love this language, and I love all this opportunity that came with it. And as an immigrant, I would say when a person can speak English, it would definitely gives that person a way more opportunities rather than you would speak only your mother tongue, no matter what language it would be. And many people have stereotypes about Germans. I live in Germany, that they're cold and rude and you never would be able to be close to them and make friends with the Germans. I can't say that it's 100%, but it's kind of difficult to get closer because they kind of have a shell and you need to go through that shell. But once they're opened up, they will be like really, really nice friends, and you would be able to rely on them and count on them like without any doubts. And here's one organization that helped me to find those people who are already on default more open to new people, to foreigners, to immigrants. And this is organization Toastmasters. I maybe mentioned about this organization a couple of times on my channel, but their organization helped me to completely upgrade my circle of friends and circle of people I contact with. And they are so inspiring, they are so creative. And this is organization for public speaking and leadership skills developing, but it goes beyond only those two skills. It's also about social connections and about making friends with the people you would never be able to meet anywhere else. Something that I find absolutely fascinating. Besides, you also develop skills that are absolutely life needed, I would say. So if you want to move somewhere and make your life easier in all that immigration process, two things would definitely help. It's English, 100%. And the second, become a part of international organization where you can meet people from different places, not only from your home country, but just to try to connect with the people all around the world. Don't just recreate the place you used to have. Try to integrate to a new place and embrace that new opportunities and the new world and experience as much as you can. This is something that will help you to call that new place your new home. Starting over in a new country is tough. It challenges every part of your life, your resilience, your relationships, your identity. But it also pushes your growth in a way you would never imagine. And it's not about escaping of who you are. It's about embracing of your identity and the place where you live. If there is one thing I've learned, it's that the real cost of living abroad is not measured in money. It's measured in growth, in the relationships that deepen or fade, and in the person you become through the journey. For me, despite on all the challenges we faced with, it's definitely worth it. I would love to hear about your experience. Maybe you have some things that I haven't encountered yet, and you can give me a nice advice how to handle it when once I encounter them. Or maybe you just have your story to share. I'm curious to hear. Please do so. Thank you for watching this video. Be safe and sound. See ya.